This week's channeled message from the angels is about, aliens and how we are related to them and how that all came about. So super interesting message, you guys. Very, very helpful in terms of understanding what we're going through in our ascension and how we are not in this by ourselves. We are not alone. So, all right. Welcome back to my channel, first of all. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I also want to welcome those of you who are here for the first time. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. I do that by raising my awareness up as high as I can go. After I go into a deep meditative state or a trance, I then raise my awareness. I go as high as I can go, a little higher. I connect, and then those messages and healing come through. And I share them here with you guys on YouTube. And this week's message is about sex with aliens. Oh boy. So it's a very, very profound message actually about the help that we've been given and about the specific, what is different about this particular time and why about this specific incarnation, how we are able to access things we didn't have access to in the past. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the message. So here's what they say. And Mike says he's an alien. Do you know, you actually probably are, and we all are. And that is the point of this message. There we go. I've blown the punchline. All right, let's dig in. They say, we wish to bring you news of things beyond this realm, of what is happening on shores far from you. There are ecstasies of comprehension that abound because of you. There are patterns of understanding that are blossoming. The ways in which you move between your journeys, the lives as they are bestowed upon you, are instrumental in an understanding and knowledge of the rhapsodies of emotion and its conviviality, how it is transferred among one soul's experience. We are watching as you navigate the experience of this life. It is bridging the many experiences of your past, as all things of your own knowledge come to shore. We are watching and improving our own comprehension of how to navigate your species, how to understand your very being, to see you in a better light of your own bringing, to see you as you are experiencing yourself in these various realms of your own conscious awareness. You have brought to many shores an understanding of humanity. We are all among those who wish to know you better, who have formed an acquaintanceship with the human form, who have within this reality that you are living placed themselves into your safekeeping, to make you the guardian. You bear them within the very strands of your own beginning. You have within you a realization of the form that you have been, what you are now and always were. And then there is the human soul, formed of many fragments and participants. There are the instructions which were laid down for participation, the method by which others could confer their knowledge to your form. There were methods by which this integration was allowed to happen. But not by any means of understanding do you regulate these patterns. You have no knowledge of that which is past, of who has participated, who has graced you with their essence or illumination. We say, though you are bridging in humanity as one form, the races of many, you contain within you a patterning which can conform to those who are selectively enabled. Not always will they appear before you. Not always will they harbor the ability to reveal themselves, but you contain them. On their shores far away from places unknown, they watch yourselves in absentia. They sense where you are, how you have weathered these coming times. The essences of what you've known are coming to bear in these times. The essences of all that you have ever lived are being integrated into one form, into the form of one body of what you are, which is then shared with the collective knowledge of humanity. These aspects are integrated, including those which have been gifted, those which are unknown, those which are harbored within your very DNA, which have enabled you, graced you with the presence of greater knowledge and capacity than you would have otherwise. Each of these in presence comes to light and is bearing within these times of the fruit of promises made. In keeping, those regulated beings who came by choice, who performed their willful integration with yourselves, are now instrumental in the bridging of humanity to a new level of consciousness. They are assisting the selves remotely. They offer themselves a beacon of light to bridge these times of turmoil. They offer themselves, their might, their forms, their regularity, all that they are as conscious beings, to come when you are ready, to come, to arrive here, and to bring the very needed instructions which will dawn into your minds. The very placements of their energies are selected. The very specimens who will bear fruit of knowledge are known already, and these among you shall rise into the connective tissue of humanity and transform the world you are on and make things better. Allow yourselves to rise again from when things are troubled. Bring to you a greater knowledge of yourselves and help you harness what you know into forms unlike what you've seen, so that you may journey beyond this realm of earth, so that you may join the milieu of the many and see yourselves on the platform of the world, not alone, but accompanied by many friends and belonging to the universe. We say to sense within you, as these times are coming, the fruition of these horizons as drawing forward. All that is within you does accompany you with grace into your own healing. It does allow you the opportunity to purge that which has lain dormant, but it also draws and rises up into expression the torrent of wisdom and connection which will aid you in times coming. Be aware of this connection to that which is external, to that which was gifted, to that which has been bred into the very blood and bones of humanity, which is now part of you. These are ways with which you have been gifted the presence, the minds, and the blessings of the many who are watching. We bless you. All right. So there we go. So that's it, you guys. It is, I mean, I feel like this is a really, really interesting message and a very interesting way for us to process how we are being assisted in terms of moving with our consciousness, how our consciousness is changing. And in general, to sum this up, what I understand is that humanity has been throughout time and way prior to our recorded history, way prior to where we have any memory, we have integrated, and I believe it is through, it's like, think about the old Greek mythology and Roman mythology where there are gods that came down and literally had sex with humans. And that is how I think we're changed. I think those stories have truth in them. I think they had that we, through these, it wasn't like we were brought into a lab and somebody dissected us and added things to our DNA. That we, by choice, at the soul level, allowed ourselves to be sort of bred to have these other DNA brought into, or other, whatever you call it, alien essences brought into our DNA. That our DNA is almost like, and they said this in the retreat that I went to, that we are a garden for the universe, which is an amazing, that our DNA is a garden for the universe. So literally, it is like other races that wanted to store, sort of like we have seed storage vaults in Iceland, and I think there's one in South America, where everything we want to make sure we never lose, we put there. And I think that is what our DNA has become, that we are holding DNA from many different races. And maybe those worlds are having trouble. Maybe they are looking for a place to sort of store their knowledge and their wisdom for the universe, because maybe they're who knows. But in any case, that we have within us. And so not only did it help these other races, but it also helped us. That it helped us in terms of, by bringing those into humanity, we grew our consciousness and grew our knowledge. But that some of that, super interesting, has stayed dormant, is what they're saying. And that now, as we're going through our awakening, all of that is coming forward. And that's going to help us as we're making this leap into this new state of consciousness. So this is all, I know this is a mind bender, and it's amazing. And I think it's going to give us a lot to think about and talk about. So, all right. And you're saying, Brandy's saying, I'm an Arcturian. Super cool. And Mike is saying, good to meet you. And he's saying, my essence is a Venus. Right. Very cool. Danielle's saying, I finally made it to a live. Welcome, Danielle. I'm really glad you could be here. Rachel. Hello, Rachel. Great to have you here. Okay, so let's go ahead and start breaking this down message by message, or paragraph by paragraph. They say, we wish to bring you news of things beyond this realm, of what is happening on shores far from you. There are ecstasies of comprehension that abound because of you. There are patterns of understanding that are blossoming. So, and this is really referring to the idea, and I love that they say ecstasies of comprehension that abound. So it is like we are helping the world, or not the world, the universe, to understand something through our own experience. And my understanding here, what they're saying is, what they're trying to understand is emotion. That we have a very broad range of emotion here on earth, right? We go through the lowest lows, the highest highs. And they're saying here that the ways in which you move between your journeys, in other words, the way that we move from one life to the next life, so move between our journeys, the lives as they are bestowed upon you, so the way we move between those, are instrumental in an understanding and knowledge of the rhapsodies of emotion and its conviviality, how it is transferred among one's soul's experience. So this is some of the things that they're learning from us and our experience. So as we die and are reborn, and we carry from one life to the next our emotions, which are then patterns which we then try to heal, right? In each lifetime, that we try to work through these emotions. We're trying to experience them and then work through them. And they're saying that the rhapsodies, I love, again, this is the angels love their double meanings, their double entendres, because that is how angels see. Angels never see one thing at once. They see everything all at once. So a lot of times their messages will contain layers of meaning because that's how they think. So rhapsodies here, rhapsodies of emotion. A rhapsody is like an enthusiastic, ecstatic expression of emotion. In other words, with the highest highs, the lowest lows is what we experience. But a rhapsody is also in ancient Greece, it was an epic poem that was of a length suitable for being recited. So in other words, a life, right? An epic poem, a life that is suitable for being expressed. So it is instrumental in understanding and knowledge of the rhapsodies of emotion. So that is how they describe a life. Our life is all about our feelings and our emotion. It is a rhapsody, which is a poem, an epic poem. Each life is an epic poem unto itself. Love them, right? Love them, how they talk. So, okay. So an understanding of the rhapsodies of emotion and its conviviality. So conviviality means agreeableness. So how does one life agree with the next? Are our lives convivial to each other? Are they friendly to one another? We draw in the emotions from one life to experience them in the next life, right? How is it transferred among one soul's experience? Super cool. Off to a great start. All right, next paragraph. And here they say we are watching. And what they mean by we in this is they're talking about everyone of the universe, including the angels, including every other species that's out there that has an interest in what's going on here on Earth. So it's the collective we of the universe. It also, I believe, means source. It's like the everything that is learning from our experience. And we know that source is learning that we are expressions of the divine, that we have the spark of the divine inside of us, and that we are each of us is a unique expression of that spark. And that as we experience that expression through our rhapsodies of emotion, we are seeing who we are as spark, experiencing these different. How do we express? What do we do? How do we experience this? How do we cope, right? And how does it change us? So this is then informing source about itself. So this is the we, meaning yes, source, yes, the angels, yes, all alien life as we know it, that is interested in paying attention to the earth. That is when they're using the word we here, that's what they're talking about. So we are watching as you navigate the experience of this life. It is bridging the many experiences of your past as all things of your own knowledge come to shore. So in other words, in this life right now, we have a unique, and they talked about this before, we have a unique experience in this incarnation, which was not true in past incarnations. Past incarnations, we would have links to specific lives we lived before that were relevant to that life. Ones that we decided before we came in, okay, I want to work through this emotion, I want to work through that wounding, or I want to bring in that specific gift or ability. And so then we would link all those lives to this life and we would select it. This life that we're in, they've told us, is different. In this life, we have access to all of it, to everything we've ever lived before. So it's a really unique time, including some of the stuff related to aliens. So they say, okay, as all things of your own knowledge come to shore. That's what they're talking about. We are watching and improving our own comprehension of how to navigate your species, how to understand your very being, to see you in a better light of your own bringing. So how do we show up for ourselves? How do we experience this life? To see you as you are experiencing yourself in these various realms of your own conscious awareness. And you're saying, Mike says, the stories of Sophia is amazing. John Lamb Lash in his book, Not in His Image, is an excellent take on this subject. I may not agree with his whole approach, but I do resonate with most of what he shares. Interesting, about this subject. Okay, thank you, Mike. And Rachel says, yes, I've always felt since I was a child that I was being watched. Now I understand why. Yes, every projected us. Okay, thank you, Mike. And then Rebecca says, I love this discernment and access to all lives. It is amazing, isn't it? Like, it's an amazing realization of what we're experiencing right now, and part of why, like, this is such a chaotic time, right? And Karen says, it does feel like a buffet of emotions sometimes. Good way of putting it. It does. All right, next paragraph. They say, you have brought to the many shores an understanding of humanity. We are all among those who wish to know you better. So here's tricky, because they're always a little tricky with their pronouns and everything like that. But they say, we are all among those who wish to know you better. So here they're getting specific about the specific beings who have integrated with humanity. We are all among those. The those are the beings who integrated with us. So everybody is among these beings, the angels, the divinity, everything. So they're saying this is all being watched by everyone. So nothing unwanted happened here, is what they're telling us. Who have formed an acquaintanceship with the human form, who have within this reality that you are living placed themselves into your safekeeping. To make you the guardian, you bear them within the very strands of your own beginning. So this is, they're saying, we are among those, so that everybody is aware there are certain races, certain alien races, who have formed an acquaintanceship with the human form, who have within this reality that you are living, so in this earth world that we are in, place themselves into your safekeeping. So it gets to that idea that we are the garden, that we are holding some aspect of them, that is helping to help them live on and live through us, that we are like the seed house, right, of these different races. To make you the guardian, you bear them within the very strands of your own beginnings. So the beginning of our consciousness, the beginning of our expansion of awareness, they were part of that. So we benefited, they benefited. And they go on, and you're saying, chaotic seems to be an understatement. Yes. And then Rachel says, how blessed we are we to be here at this time. It really is a huge blessing to be here, right? To have this experience right now is an amazing blessing. Very limited. I feel like there just weren't that many spots to be able to come to Earth right now. So it's like winning the lottery to be here right now. Yeah. They go on to say, next paragraph, you have within you a realization of the form that you have always been, of what you are now and always were. So this is our physical body, like our DNA, right? Like this has been what we always have been and what we are now and always were. Then there is the human soul, formed by many fragments and participants. So that's a question. That's one I wish I could have unpacked in the process of the channeling. But we know that a human soul is made up of many selves. That our soul, our higher self, expresses itself into many, many different lives. And sometimes we have many incarnations happening at once. So you can have a soul brother or sister that's out there in the world right now that's having a life, having an experience, who is also you. But you're a different incarnation. So you can actually have parallel lives in that way. So we know that there are many, many, aspects. And even within your own psyche, you have your within your own life, you have your younger self, you have, your inner child, so there's layers to us at the soul level. And they go on to say, and so here they're talking about the soul level. They're saying there are instructions which were laid down for there are the instructions which were laid down for participation. So at the soul level are the instructions which were laid down for the participation of anybody who wanted to participate in this seed garden, anybody who wanted to be part of our DNA. There were rules that were laid down by our higher selves at the soul level. We were in agreement. So there was rules to this, right? It wasn't just a free for all. Anybody come and have your way with us. It wasn't that. It was, okay, we're going to be participating in the choice, in the selection of what happens. So, and there was rules for this, right? Instructions. And they go on to say the methods by which others could confer their knowledge to your form. Then they say there were methods by which this integration was allowed to happen. But not by any means of understanding do you regulate these patterns. You have no knowledge of that which has passed, of who has participated, of who has graced you with their essence or illumination. So in other words, we had a set of rules we laid down, like we were in agreement to this, but then that's kind of where our role stopped. And then at this point, we don't have any memory of it. We don't control it at this point. It's not like we are in on the planning at this point. At this point, this has all kind of happened, and we have no knowledge of it. So like think about our history books. This is not anywhere in any of this is this agreed upon. And the way I see this is that yes, Darwin is accurate. There is like evolution, but that and I know that there are those who don't believe in that, but that is my belief system. So I will say that as a respectful nod to anyone who disagrees with me. But that that this happened in conjunction with our evolution. So imagine that humanity, that we are in the process of evolution, and we are identified as having this structure to our DNA, which can serve as a garden. And then at that point, all of these participants come in and gift us and allow the expansion of our conscious awareness. And that then brings us to a new level and creates us as the collective mind that we are. Does that make sense? All right. So, and you're saying, for we are all light. Exactly. Thank you. And for me, there is only one race, but many projections of form we choose to express. I love that. And I think that is, and I think that is, there's definitely something to that. I think it's, in terms of, are we one race with every other planet? I think it's like, yes, I think that there's a unity to everything, but I also think that it's like at the soul level, I believe we get sort of almost like affiliated to different schools or different collectives, different collective consciousnesses. So it's like, yes, we are all connected because we're all source. But at the same time, I think that we are affiliated with Earth. And so we are different from these other planets. But then, like you said, Arcturians can come and incarnate here, and they can have that experience, and we can go, and all of us, I'm sure, have had other experiences on other planets. So that would be an interesting channeling. Maybe we can put in a request to the angels to understand how that's governed and how that works. I think it's an interesting question. All right. They go on to say, okay. We say, though you are bridging in humanity as one form, the races of many, you contain within you a patterning which can conform to those who are selectively enabled. Not always will they appear before you. Not always will they harbor the ability to reveal themselves. But you contain them. On their shores far away, from places unknown, they watch yourselves in absentia, meaning when they're not here. They sense where you are, how you have weathered these coming times. So they're saying that even though we have a wide variety of patterns of different races or beings who have participated in our genetic makeup, that not all of them express, not all of them are experienced, and that it's sort of selected, that it's a selective process of what comes forward. And they're saying that all of them are aware of us. And they watch us from far away, right? And I love how they say here, they sense where you are, and they say how you have weathered these coming times. And I love I don't think it's an accident that they're using the past and the future in one sentence. How you have weathered, as in looking at it backwards, these coming times. So there's something about this, about how we will have, right? It's like they can see it already, that there's an awareness of what will happen to us and what we're going through, that awareness is held by everybody who's watching us. And now it's almost like they kind of know the punchline, and now they're watching how we go through it and how we navigate it and what we're going through. Yeah. So I think that's why it's such an interesting, because they all know where we're headed, right? Super interesting. And Daniel's saying, this is so cool, especially lately. I've been thinking about what they're saying the week before you go live with the same message. Oh, I love that. And I love how they do seem to speak to exactly where we are right now, right? As a collective, it's like they're speaking into each of our experiences. So I think it's super cool. The Disney movie Soul is interesting, but star beings are not really mentioned. More of, we are direct from source, here for learning. Yeah, and there's truth to that for sure. Like, we are direct from source at the soul level, but there's this other piece of it, which we're now talking about. Yeah. All right. Then they say, okay, next paragraph. The essences of what you've known are coming to bear in these times. The essences of all that you have ever lived are being integrated into one form. into the form of one body of what you are, which is then shared with the collective knowledge of humanity. So they're kind of making a statement about this is right now the time where we're integrating all of our past lives, and then we're gathering as much of that knowledge as we can, trying to work through it. And knowledge, by that knowledge, I mean emotions. Like that is what matters after we die. Like they don't really care about like if we know our geography, if we know our math. Like what they care about is like, do we understand our feelings? Do we understand what it is to experience things at an emotional level? And that's the knowledge that we're working through. We're processing all of our past lives emotionally and then sharing that with the collective, the knowledge that we have of ourselves, that deeper wisdom. And you know how it is when you process deep emotions, when you move through something, if you have gone through something that really seasoned you in life, right? That was one of those things where you are chewed up and spit out and then you have to process that. And what it leaves you with is this sense in your body that I would have to label wisdom. And wisdom is not innocence. Innocence feels light and airy and transparent almost. It kind of moves through everything with a obliviousness. And wisdom moves through things differently. Wisdom moves through things with awareness, acceptance, and grace. And it feels very different because it incorporates the dark and the light. It's like starting with the light and allowing the presence of shadow, of our own shadow, and bringing that in and loving it equally. And it creates a balance. It creates almost like, imagine an orchestra that only played high notes, right? And then imagine the richness of a symphony that carries all the notes. And it feels really differently in the body. And I feel like that is something that we get as we season, as we age, as we go through these life experiences and we incorporate all these past lives. And what we're getting is wisdom. And that wisdom creates an orchestra that will blow our minds, right? That is richer, that is deeper. And that's what we're going through. Yeah, but it feels very differently in the body. It feels, when we talk about innocence and we look at children and we feel like how pure that is. And there's something lovely about it, lovely and uncomplicated. And we look at that and we kind of, wistfully, like, I remember when I felt that way. And I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't give up my wisdom at all, But you see that lightness. And you think, that's so sweet. It's so sweet. It's so wonderful. And now I have such a deeper meaning and resonance with life and with experience. And it just feels, it feels really different in the body. I have really been appreciating that lately, and the layers of that, right? How it feels, it feels wistful. It's like that sweet sorrow, you know what I mean? Where you think back about your difficulties and recognize how they've changed you, and they changed you for the better. You wouldn't change it. And then you also look at that innocence and you go, wow, that was really sweet. Yeah. Anyways, just thinking out loud. So, all right. And you're saying orchestra notes, very well said. Yeah. I love the definition. I love this definition of wisdom. Maybe that is the word of the week. Oh yeah, Rebecca, I think so too. Even though I did like that one they used in the beginning, that word they chose, rhapsodies. I think that is the other angel word of the day. Yeah. All right. And you're saying that's most likely what this particular incarnation is about. Orchestra, the notes, very well said. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, you guys. All right. Next paragraph. They say, a collective knowledge of humanity. These aspects are integrated, including those. So we're integrating all these aspects of our past lives. They're integrating, including those which have been gifted, which are those which are unknown, those which are harbored within your very DNA, which have enabled you, graced you with the presence of greater knowledge and capacity than you would have otherwise. So this is why we were in agreement, right? We knew by bringing in these energies, by bringing in these essences, changing our DNA, we were expanding our consciousness, expanding our abilities as humans. So, and they're saying, so this is the interesting part, that because, and so I always thought as they were talking about in this lifetime, we could bring back all these past lives. Previously, they talked about it and they explained that as a process of sort of processing and processing all the wisdom and sharing that, right? And I thought that was the reason for it. But now I'm understanding that it has two reasons. One is, yes, processing all the wisdom. But the other thing is that by bringing in all of these past lives, we are also bringing forward all of our connections to aliens, right? To other types of beings, right? We're bringing forward everything. So all the stuff we don't remember, including these connections, which are now going to help us. So there's a double reason for this. Why do we have to bring back everything? Yes, to learn. Also because we now need these energies, which were basically deposited Take from that what you will. And now we're going to be using them in terms of helping us with our conscious awakening. Okay. And which is super, super cool. And they say, where am I? So I'm losing my place. So it's more than we would have otherwise. Each of these in presence comes to light and is bearing within these times the fruit of promises made. Right? So which makes me think that, okay, what is the agreement that we made? That when we said, yep, we will allow ourselves to be the garden of the universe, come and help your species live forever, or expand the life of your species by becoming part of humanity. And so in exchange for that, they would have made a promise. Like, what are we receiving in return? And that promise is to help us with our awakening, right? So each of these in presence comes to light. And so we're bringing them forward into the light. These past influences, these aspects of our DNA are now expressing and bearing within these times the fruit of promises made. So where they're coming forward, they're expressing from our DNA, and the fruit is our expansion of our consciousness. So in keeping, those regulated beings who came by choice, who performed their willful integration with yourselves, are now, and so that integration is, I think that we basically had our ancient selves crossbred with alien species. That is what I'm understanding, and are now instrumental in bridging of humanity to a new level of consciousness, right? So they're coming forward. That DNA is expressing, basically, is what I'm understanding. They are assisting the selves remotely. And so I think that there's this added layer to it. They're expressing in our DNA, but they're also assisting us in other ways, right? They're assisting us probably through those of us who are connected to them, who are channeling them, who are receiving messages from them, right? So they're assisting us through the expression through our DNA, but they're also focused on us. They're giving us the gift of their presence, of their awareness, right? Okay. So they go on to say they offer them, this is the part I think it gets really interesting. They offer themselves a beacon of light to bridge these times of turmoil. So here we're getting ready to go through some really, really hard times. They're saying they are offering themselves as a beacon of light during these really, really difficult times that are coming. They offer themselves there, and not that we aren't going through difficult times, but this is a process that we're moving through. They offer themselves their might, their forms, their regularity, all that they are as conscious beings, to come when you are ready, to arrive here and to bring the very needed instructions which will dawn into your minds. So they are going to help us in very tangible ways, is my understanding, through the difficult times. And basically, as we move through this awakening process, as these sort of difficult events happen to unwind the institutions that are holding us in place, that unwind in terms of all the power structures that have got us locked into these patterns of consciousness, that as those disintegrate, then these parts of us that will express, and these beings who are here to help us, who want to help us because they are seeded into our very DNA, they're related to us at this point, they will come forward to help us. And they're saying the very placements of their energies are selected. So this is interesting. They're saying this has already been decided upon, like how these energies are going to be expressed have already been decided. The very specimens who will bear fruit of knowledge are known already. So there are those among us who are very connected to these beings who will be carrying this wisdom forward, be helping us, be bringing this up into the collective awareness, right? And these among you shall rise into the connective tissue of humanity and transform the world you are on and make things better. So these are all here to help us, to make things better for us, which I love. So they're basically it's rising in each of us, but then there are also those who will be specifically sharing information. And so super cool. Allow yourselves to rise again from when things are troubled. So this is part of how we lift ourselves out of the difficulty of loss, right? Bring to you a greater knowledge of yourselves and help you harness, this is really interesting, help you harness what you know already. So all the stuff we know already. So think about that. Harness what we know already, which means like our math, our technology, the ways that we know of living, like how do we build cities? How do we build communities? They help us harness what we know already, all of this, into forms unlike what you've seen, so that you may journey beyond this realm of earth. So think about that. So that we may journey beyond this realm of earth. So I see that as like, how do we grow our technology to a place where we are able to move beyond earth, that we expand our horizons to include the galaxy, the universe, right? How do we do that? So we're taking what we already know and we're building on it, using these connections to help very helpful and invested outsiders who are going to give us assistance, right? And then they say, so that you may join the milieu of the many. So in other words, all these other species, right, that are out there, so that we may join them and see yourselves on the platform of the world, not alone, but accompanied by many friends and belonging to the universe. So it's like we get to become part of the greater world, right? Outside of this little world that we're in, right? Super, super cool. Yeah. And you say, I wonder what they are defining discerning as alien. Aren't all of us some sort of alien? Yep, I think we are. And that's what they're saying, is that we are part of that. And I think they're trying to explain it in a way that we can understand it by using conventions as we've always talked about them, is my sense of it. And you say, for those of us who are willing to channel our whole self. Yes, exactly. So I think there will be definitely channeled messages, people who are connecting specifically with these beings and sharing information, and they may come physically and help us. So we'll have to see. And the angels have said that they would be present. The angels have said there would be a time when we could actually see them, and that's going to be mind-blowing for people, right? So yeah, so definitely shifting times we're going into. And Karen's saying, wondering that too, do all humans have alien origins or not necessarily? That is, I believe what they're saying, Karen, is that aliens seeded their DNA, I guess you'd call it, their patterns of knowledge and wisdom into our DNA. So we are all sort of a makeup. We're like a garden of all these different races. And all of those were brought forward into us. And they did that so that we could basically help to elongate their lives, extend their longevity. And it helped us because it grew our consciousness. And so that's what I'm understanding, is what they're saying. And that not all of them are expressed, but we get to sort of selectively express, but that's kind of how, but they're all in there. And like if you look at science, they say that there's like massive amounts of information in our DNA that are never expressed. It's like, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like we express like 10% of our DNA and the rest is like, what is that? Well, maybe it's something really interesting, right? Maybe we have all of our DNA as frog people is in there. I don't know, frog beings. So, all right. And then you're saying, Dashini says, who is considered earthbound? Oh, I missed a piece here. I guess that means not earthbound, right? That exactly, that we are not in the future. They're saying that we could potentially physically voyage outside of Earth. And there's a ton of progress being made on that. Like right now, like SpaceX is in the process of creating ships that will carry people, and those ships have like bedrooms in them so that people can go to Mars and back. So like we are in the process, but it sounds like we're going to be getting a lot more help to do this. And it might not happen. I don't know if this will happen in our lifetime. Like they didn't really talk about that. Like how quickly will all this unfold? But they do specifically say that these influences are here to help us to pick ourselves up after difficult times, to make things easier. So we will be getting after these power structures have sort of disintegrated, then they step in different ways, both expressing through us and potentially, actually coming and helping us to rebuild, to redefine what humanity is going to be. All right. Then they say, where we are. Yes. So super cool. So we belong to the universe. Next paragraph, they say, we say to sense within you as these times are coming, the fruition of these horizons as drawing forward. So recognizing that these aspects of ourselves are coming forward as part of our conscious expansion right now that we're going through. All that is within you does accompany you with grace into your own healing. So in other words, that all of this is helping us to move through the healing that we're trying to do right now. Does allow you the opportunity to purge that which has lain dormant, but it also draws and rises up into expression the torrent of wisdom and connection which will aid you in times coming. So that's exactly what we were saying, that this time, the uniqueness of this time, it allows us to process all our past lives, but it also brings up, right, draws and rises up into expression the torrent of wisdom and connection, which will aid us in times coming. So I see that as part of what we're trying to, that will help us. I think it helped us probably originally with the expansion of our consciousness, but I think the promise made is that it could help us now too. And I think that's what's happening. They go on to say, be aware of this connection to that which is external, to that which was gifted, to that which has been bred into the very blood and bones of humanity, which is now part of you. So this is saying it's that these different species have gifted us something that's important to who we are and how we are today. These are ways with which you have been gifted the presence, the minds, and the blessings of the many who are watching. We bless you. So I love that. I love that the angels end with like, okay, they also are giving us blessings, right? That they are always blessing us. But that we have these, we should think of this. And I think they say that at the end to be aware, because they want us to be aware that it is a blessing, that having had this integration of these different races, species, I guess you'd call them, is a huge blessing, because it allowed us, it helped us with the expansion of our consciousness. So, and what is more precious than that, than our own awareness and our connection to what is divine within us. Oh, wow, you guys. So there we go. Sex with aliens. I said it. Yeah. Okay. So super, super interesting. And and I know lots of you have like a very strong sense of connection with other races, and that's a big part of, of our world being on a spiritual path, that some of you are deeply connected. So I say thank you, right? Thank you for having that connection and for being here and helping all of us, right? That it is something that I think is going to help us with, definitely, like the angels said, they're right here with us and they're helping to guide us, but we're getting help from a lot of places. So, all right, you guys, I want to thank you so much for being part of this, for joining in. I'm sending you guys tons of blessings, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. All right, I'll see you guys next Friday live.